Hi, I'm here today to show you how to do one of the simplest type of installs, the sliding glass door. First off, they're always going to mount right behind here on the fixed panel. It's a real simple measure and a real simple install. All you have to do, hook the tape down below here on that vinyl and go all the way up. Here I'm going to call out 76 3/8. The reason this install is so easy is we have our plane all the way around the door already. So we don't need any decorum and we don't need any sill adapters. That bottom rail will mount right to the face down below, the top rail right to here, and it'll seal off on this edge. So this is another slider. It's going to be, again, the same exact kind of measurement. We're going to go down below here. We have that continuous plane all the way around. It's going to seal off on this edge. So we come to a measurement of 78. Keep in mind also, when we're doing these vinyl sliding glass doors, there's going to be a gap right here. So be sure to call out for bug flap. Bug flap is going to seal off against this so we can make sure nothing gets through. So like I said before, the sliding glass door is probably one of the easiest installs. As the installer comes up to the door, we already have the frame built out for us. So we can go ahead and measure for the rail. I'm going to start here because I know that the inner part of this housing, we're going to try to line up right with this. With that rail locking tight right against that, I can make my measurement from here and go across to the outside of where we're going to have the rail go. What I've measured for is 33 inches from this point out to this point. Something I like to do with these sliding glass doors, before I install it, I like to cut away some of this rubber seal so we're not overlapping it on the vinyl frame. This is going to be your handle kit. It's going to come with every door. We have 2 pairs of silver screws and the magnet kit as well inside the handle kit. The longer silver screws are going to be for the housing. The reason I know this is because with the housing screws, you're going to have the bumper pads. You're also going to have the housing cap plugs, so we don't have to look at those silver screw heads. I know that these shorter screws are for the handle because they have the handle plugs with them. Lastly, we have this magnet. All the according screws are already packaged in there. So when I cut my rail, something I advise everyone to do is I have them take the side away that's going to plug into the housing at about a 35-degree angle. This will prevent any tearing on the screen if people don't properly maintain the door. It won't allow for the screen to wrap out around a sharp edge. So I'm going to plug this into the pull bar first, like so. I have this edge here. My top rail is overlapping it by about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to create the same thing down below with the bottom rail. That way when I bring my pull bar over, it's going to seal off against this edge perfectly. I'm going to grab the lower rail and lock it in now. The only thing I've done so far is set that top housing screw. If I get some trouble here, I'll be sure to lift up on the pull bar so this rail goes in and locks in. Here's my edge. Here's the rail overlapping by about 1/8 of an inch. I've now just put the screw in on the bottom. The next thing I'm going to do is set that bottom rail before I do anything else up top. So in that rail, there were some screws and they were self-tapping. We don't need to really worry about pre-drilling here. These self-tapping screws get through the rail no problem and then go right through the vinyl. I'm only going to do 3 down below. 1 more in the middle. If you get into trouble, I'm also going to show you how to use that 7/64 drill bit just to go ahead and punch your holes. Make sure not to over torque the rail screws. If we over torque them too hard, any bit of this shift could kind of throw off how easily that pull bar comes across. Now the first thing I'm going to do up top here is throw in the top railing screw. Make sure to blow any of that excess aluminum away so it doesn't scratch anything up. Now, I think the part that confuses people, but it's probably the easiest part, is how to set that top rail. All we need to do is pull the pull bar across, and it will automatically level itself. And then setting that top screw. So we now have a pretty easy slide going here, and this is before any silicone spray. The next thing I like to do is put on these pads. Now, these housing plugs are directional. I know that I'm going to use this plug because it has a concave out along with the bottom part of the housing. Now we're not locking it in any screw holes. We'll go ahead and do the same thing up top. Now we can cover up any of those nasty screw holes. What I'm going to do next is take this silicone spray. Every customer should get a can. Spray along this top rail. Spray along the bottom rail. So now we have a working door. The next thing we need to do is put on the handle kit. What I like to do is I like to take my handle screws, pop them out, get my handle across. Make sure I'm not going to interfere with their handle. And I know I have plenty of space between the backside of the pull bar and their handle, so I'm not too worried about that. What I'm going to do here is line up the handle on the backside of this pull bar. I can feel it in my pinky and my index finger that I have a nice smooth line up between the handle and here. I'll go ahead and make a little score line. Take my 1/4 inch drill bit and drill through this. Let me show you. So now I'll take my handle screws and I'll run them through. Now I'm putting in the handle plugs. So again, we don't have to look at these nasty screw heads. The last thing we're going to do is put on the magnet. I've decided for this install that I'm actually going to put the strike plate on the front of the pull bar, and I'm going to put the magnet over here. I want to make sure that when I attach it here, I'm not over here. I know I'll click off right about there. I'm going to have this 1/8 inch gap. So I know I really want to get far back here so I can seal off against that edge nice and tight. When putting on the strike plate to the pull bar, I'm going to take a 5/32 drill bit and drill out the holes for here. Make sure that we line up the strike plate with the top screw head just above the magnet. Now we're done.